Hey guys, this is your girl Lynette from DALS Credit Solutions. How are you doing today? It is Credit Tip Tuesday. Wanted to come to you for questions and answers. A lot of people have questions regarding their credit restoration process or anything on their credit. So I wanted to come on tonight and see if I can give you guys some good information. If you have any questions or answers, we're coming on. Today is May 5th. It's May already. 2020. It's 8:15 here in Pennsylvania. And I hope everyone's having a good evening. I'm trying to log on my computer so I can share this as I'm doing. So again, I'm logging on to see if anybody have any questions about credit, overall credit, understanding their credit, understanding about credit. So I just want to come on and give you guys some insight and see if anybody had any questions. Don't mind me, I'm going live now on different networks for my computer because I couldn't do it from my phone. So I was just coming on just to see if anybody had any questions. Again, this is your girl, Lynette from DALS Credit Solutions. I wanted to see if anybody had any questions tonight. It's Credit Tip Tuesday. Get all the information for free. Any insights, anything critical, anything non-critical. Just understand your credit reports, anything of that nature if you guys had any questions. See how everybody's doing. How's everybody doing through this pandemic? It's really tough out here. Kind of scary, but you know, we will all make it. Let's see here. So I said I'm gonna sit on for a few minutes and see if anybody had any questions about their credit overall, to see how I can be an assistance. If you ask questions, I can answer them. I would do this while I'm on. And it could be from anything. It could be from collections, charge-offs. It can be from bankruptcy, school loans, foreclosure, short sales, anything. Learning how to, read your report in general, what questions you have, what uncertainties you have. A lot of people can't afford credit restoration on their own. So, they hire people, but I do these Credit Tip Tuesdays to give people insight on how to dispute and challenge your credit when they don't know how. So I'm on, ask me any questions, ask me anything, give you some insight on how to read your credit reports, how can you get started, how can you go about improving your scores, anything you can ask. So it's just something that I do. I normally have a topic, but I wanted to give everybody, open the mic up and, just to see if anyone had, again, just have questions and concerns, or how to improve your credit, how to pay credit card debt, how to get late payments off your credit, how to anything. So if anybody have any questions, please feel free to type them down. I can throw some examples out there, just to give people, some insight on how to read their credit reports. If, to give them insight. A lot of people look at their credit reports and they begin to try to remove everything off their credit report. Is one of the worst mistakes you can make, because we have so many components when it comes to credit, like your payment history, credit age, credit utilization, overall credit, and mixed credit. That's all fine and dandy. A lot of people like to use different methods and just, have all this stuff removed, but it can hurt you in the long run, because if you don't have any credit, you have to establish credit, but not in a way that you feel as though you need to if you just rebuild. So let me say that again. A lot of people use credit sweeps. Have nothing against credit sweeps, something I don't practice. They remove all the debt entirety, and it can cause more harm than good. So I tell people, instead of removing all of the debt off your credit, learn to read your credit so you can know how to dispute properly. It's the most important component that you can have in this process is understanding your overall credit report. A lot of people don't understand payment history have many components. A lot of people don't understand credit utilization have a lot of components, along with credit age and overall credit. A lot of people I see that dispute credit makes the biggest mistakes. They get all their inquiries removed. It's one of the worst mistakes you can make as far as building credit. When you remove all the inquiries and you have an inquiry on your credit that's associated to a good account or a positive account, you want to remove the whole trade line. So when you restoring your credit, repairing your credit, never go for the inquiries first. Because if it's associated with a good trade line, you can lose a lot of points on your credit. And you don't want to do that. I see a lot of people, when they dispute, late payments or repossessions, a lot of people want the whole trade line off. That can be good if it's in a newer year, but if it holds credit age, meaning you had that account for a long time, it's best to dispute the late payments and the late payments only. Because if you get the actual repo removed or the actual car loan removed, not necessarily repo, but the car loan removed, you can cause more harm than good to your credit report. So I'm just asking if anybody can, just type a topic, that you would like to discuss or you would like to have, me speak about. And I can have that answered for you on live. Or if you want to join me live to go over your credit report, you don't have to mention your score during this live. I would invite you on and we can have a whole session. It's free. It's normally $25 for a consultation, but you can have this done free. You don't have to mention your credit score. You don't have to mention the actual, items on your report. You can use your report and give examples so you can know how to remove items off your report correctly. So I'm going to be on here for a while. Again, you can mention, have a topic or, have a concern or, just want to have some whereabouts of how to dispute properly. Another way I want to give y'all a tip that I gave a couple weeks ago. When looking at your credit score, a lot of people don't have the actual insight on how to increase it. The best way to increase your credit score is to know the number of points needed for each area of your credit. So when I dispute credit or when I look at someone's credit report, I take the maximum score, which is an 850, and everybody should strive for 850. I don't care who you are. And I subtract it by your current score. Once I get that number, I multiply that number times what each area of the credit report means. Like payment history equals 0.35%. Well, actually 35%. So you multiply by 0.35. You take that same number and you multiply it by 0.30, which is your credit utilization. Doesn't matter if you have credit cards or not. You multiply that same number by 0.15 and 0.10 twice. Once you do that, you would have the number of points that you need for payment history, credit age, credit utilization, overall credit, and mixed credit. Once you get those numbers, then you know how to increase your score. Getting your score increased with other areas like far as software and things like that, have nothing against it. I don't practice it because I believe in educating the person on building their score, not just eliminating the debt. Because if you eliminate the debt from someone, you're not teaching anybody about the responsibility of credit. And people with poor credit don't understand money. So this is why it will harm you if you get someone to just remove all of your debt, because you're still going to be in debt once that person is done. You have to know how to educate yourself and get educated when it comes to your credit. Hi, everybody that's on. I'm busy just talking, and I'm not, okay, I have a question here. So how many points will your score increase once collections is removed? Hi, Candace. Good question, babe. So again, so if you have a pen and paper, we can do this together while you're on live, or you can join me. It doesn't matter. So if you have a credit score, if you know your credit score, so I'm gonna throw a credit score out there. Excuse me. So if say 612, so you would take 612 minus 850 because that's the maximum credit score. You will subtract that and get a number. So once you get that number, you multiply that number times 0.35, because anything with collections and things like that is always associated with payment history. Not always, but mainly is associated with payment history. So once you get that number, you know that is the number of points that you can receive while building your credit score. So if you have a large number of collections, the number of points allotted will be a very big number. If you don't have any credit card numbers, it still can be a big number, but those points will be allotted once you establish credit cards. Same as credit age. The longer you have your, trade lines or, installment loans or any type of credit cards on your account, the higher of the age, the bigger the score. Same for as mixed credit and overall credit. So Candace, once you get that number, any amount of collections on your report, you can have them removed. Those points will give you what the areas that you need to focus on. So again, if your credit score is a 613, 612, you minus that. If you minus that by 850, you know the number of points that you need to build your credit. So if it's 615 minus 800, you get roughly 2 and some change. You multiply that 2 and some change times 0.35, they're the numbers you need to get to increase your credit. Can you have a charge-off removed? Yes. Charge-offs are mainly like closed accounts. So this is what you need to look at, Candace, when you're looking at a charge-off. One, if it has credit age on it, remember, the longer you had an account, regardless if it's charged off or not, you want to keep it on your report, because if you remove the whole trade line, it can tarnish your credit, unless it's a repo and other things. But if it's a charge off for a credit card, you want to get the late payments removed, because when you get the late payments removed, you keep the credit age, but you increase the payment history. So the goal is to increase the payment history, keep the credit age, and get anything negative off of that trade line. Once you do that, and also the remarks, once you do that, you're golden. You keep it, it goes from negative to positive. You increase your payment history. You didn't touch your credit age, and you still have a positive trade line on your account. So you need to look at your credit report in major factors. Always look at the payment history. Always look at the credit age. Always look at the remarks, the payment sequence. All these areas are so important to removing. So if you remove an account that's a charge-off from 2010, you're going to lose a lot of points. But if you want to remove the account remarks, like a charge-off, or the payments history is wrong, that's the type of items you remove. If you remove the whole entire trade line, you can do more harm to your good. Do more harm than good to your credit. Did I explain that good enough for you, dear? I can go over it again. Hi, Ronella. Hi, Mandy. Mandy's on. Hi, Mandy. So we can go over that again if, people coming on and off. When you're looking at your credit report and you have an account in collections, you want to take, if it has credit age on it, meaning you had the account for a long time, you don't want to remove the account if it's not a repossession or a foreclosure or anything like that. But if it's a credit card, keep the credit card trade line itself on there. Remove the late payments. Remove the negative remarks. Because if it have credit age, which is 0.15% of your overall credit report, that's a lot if you're in the 600s. That's a whole lot. That's 60 plus something points. So you don't want to lose those type of points. The goal is for you to gain. Now you will have fluctuations when you're adding new accounts, but you want to gain. You don't want to always lose. So you have to learn to look at your credit reports. Look at the remarks. Always look at the open and close date. Always look at the payment sequence and look at the overall trade line itself. Any other questions? That was a good one, Candace. That was a real good one. Any other questions, anybody? I have my grandson here. Do secure and unsecured credit cards report the same on your credit? Yes, I had this question today. They report absolutely the same. Hi, baby. They report the same. A secure card, it depends on who the creditor is. Have room for advancement, meaning it can go from secure to unsecured. But if you find these cards that would tell you, and please look at the pros and cons when you're applying for cards. Look at the pros and cons. Some cards that you get as beginner cards will not allow you to have an advancement. You will be at that same $300 credit limit with a 23 to 26% APR with no room for growth. Unsecured cards, you pay them every 2 weeks, like I tell people all the time, and it increase your credit limits involuntary. Meaning voluntary. You don't even have to call in and ask. So you pay your credit cards. Secure and unsecured they report exactly the same on the credit report. Some have benefits with the secure. Some don't. Some will allow you to just stay at a $300 or $400, $500 limit the whole time you're with them. So in order for you to advance, the more you're complying with your credit utilization, stay between the 2 and 9%, the higher your limits will be. The higher your limits, the bigger the score. Credit utilization increases your credit. When people say you don't need credit cards to build your credit, I would like to see one that didn't, because you need credit utilization to build your credit. It is so important. What is the benefits of having a prepaid credit card? You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's like a secure card. You can have that secure card. As long as it's reporting to the credit bureaus, it's a benefit. If it's not reporting to the credit bureaus, it's not a benefit. It's just basically a prepaid card that you can just take and spend. But if you get a prepaid card, make sure it's being a secure card. Make sure it's being reported to the credit bureaus. But I'm about to say, I never heard of a prepaid card being reported to the credit bureaus. So secure cards, again, has the same benefits as unsecured as far as reporting. However, when you get your secured credit cards, make sure you can have them transition from secure to unsecured. Because if you can't, you will remain stagnant and you won't grow as far as that credit card. You will have to take out multiple credit cards, which I have no problem with doing. So I believe the bigger the profile, the bigger the score. The thinner the profile, the lower the score. It's just the God's honest truth. What other questions do we have? Hi, Jasmine. Jasmine sort of went live with me, and I'm not going to talk about her, though, but she's on. Any questions? A lot of people like to, reach me after the live. It's best to get me while I'm on the live. Or you can leave the comments after the live is over. Good question. Just leave your comments on the live or on the live. My inbox is being controlled by my whole marketing team. I'm barely in it. So please, when you have a question, leave it within the comments on the live. Marketing, what is Experian Boost? Good question, Candace. I like Candace questions tonight. Candace, I'm about to invite you live. Listen, Experian Boost is good. But let me tell you when Experian Boost is bad. If you already have a lot of debt, if you have a lot of debt, like a lot of even good or bad debt, Experian Boost can do more harm than good. Now, if you don't have much debt, it can do a lot for you. You have to look at your debt to income ratio when it comes to Experian Boost. So I'll give you an example. If somebody had 5-6 collections, don't have a good credit report for as payment history and things like that, Experian Boost is not going to help you. If you have a little debt, but it's all, pretty good payment history, Experian Boost will assist. A lot of people will use Experian Boost and won't see any growth. They will honestly see a decrease in points, because even if you add good debt on top of good debt, if your income doesn't suffice, you will lose points, because again, one of the components of calculating the scores according to FICO, they look at income to debt ratio. You're not going to increase in growth if you have too much good debt. Sounds foolish, but it happens. So I've seen a lot of people add Experian Boost with good debt. It doesn't do any justice for you. And to speak on trade lines, thank you for bringing that up, Candace. Trade lines is something. Experian Boost is nothing but, you add in trade lines to your account. Trade line is an account that you already have established. When you're doing credit repair, or you're getting someone to fix your credit, or doing it yourself, if you ever hear someone say to you that you can come on my trade line, or I have credit limits that you can add to your credit account or your credit profile to boost your credit, you need to run. Because if you don't, you can do more harm than good. You should never want to go underneath for someone else's credit card report that you don't know them as an authorized user, because their spending controls your score. And if your spending can't control your score, you don't need to go under their accounts. So first of all, it's illegal. Second of all, it can cause you a lot of damage. Third, it's nothing you can do because you authorize this, and you can get in trouble. When you use Experian Boost, does it automatically link to your accounts? Experian Boost is nothing more but add in like a phone bill, rent, things like that to your account. So when you do that, you have to look at, again, your debt to income ratio. Yes, it's good reporting, but if you have a whole lot of debt on your Sanaya, on your account, it can do more harm than good. I'm sorry, guys, my grandson's crying. So you have to look at your debt to income ratio when it comes to Experian Boost. Make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, all your collections off and things like that. Any type of credit card payments that are late, make sure you have those removed as well. If not, again, Experian Boost would not be beneficial. It would be more so a harm. You said 35% of your credit report is payment history. What is the other 65% for? 65% will conclude the following. Credit age is 0.15%. Credit card utilization is 0.30. Mixed credit is 0.10. And overall credit is 0.10. If you add all of that together, it will equal 100%. However, if you subtract your maximum score minus your current score, you guys will get the deficit score. Excuse me. Take them in the kitchen real quick. Take them in the kitchen. So if once you get that number, I'll repeat that. I'm sorry, my grandson's upset. So once you take your maximum score that you can get is 850, you subtract that by your actual score, whatever your score is. I use 613. You multiply that score that you get, called the deficit score, because that's the number that's keeping you from the 850. You multiply that by 0.35, 0.15, 0.30, 0.10, and 0.10. You get that number, and you know the amount of points that's needed for you to improve your credit. How do you get old hospital bills that are in collections off your credit report? Good question. It depends on what state you're in. How you doing, Mrs. Palmer? It depends on which state you're in. First of all, if you're uninsured at the time of service, according to JACO, and that's the people that regulate the hospitals, they are to offer you financial assistance. If financial assistance was not rendered during the time of service, knowing that you did not have insurance at the time, this is one of the ways you can get medical bills off of your report. You cannot keep medical bills off on your report when the hospital itself or the doctor's office are out of compliance. So you have to make sure that if you didn't have medical coverage, that they offered this to you. Now, if you did have medical coverage and you couldn't afford your copay and you informed them that you didn't have like a job or you was, waiting for some type of income, by law, they need to still offer you financial assistance so you won't have an accumulation of debt. That is the hospital responsibilities. I know that for a fact because I used to work for one. How do you, you said 35%. Candace, did I ask you a question about the 35%? You multiply that by 0.35. So when you use when you use Boost, does it automatically link to your accounts? Jasmine, which account? You have a number of accounts on your credit report. Which account are you talking about? Experian Boost only link to what you give them. So if you want your rent on there or some type of electric bill, cell phone bill, they put that on there. So it will link it as far as the reporting. But remember, make sure you look at your debt to income ratio before using Experian Boost. They don't tell you that. They make it look good and flashy to people with compromised credit. Use Experian Boost. It'll boost your credit. But you don't read the fine lines. Look at your income to debt ratio. Make sure you don't have a lot of derogatory remarks. All those things come into play when it comes to Experian Boost. It's just like you taking a car for an inspection and your check engine light is on. If you know that the car's not going to pass inspection, don't cut the bulb off so you can pass. Same with the Experian Boost. If you know your credit needs restored and repaired, make sure everything is off of there. Thanks, babe. Make sure everything is off of there. Okay. So I was typing too fast. I meant accounts that you add. Yes, dear. The accounts that you add, yes, they will link automatically. Again, just make sure you review everything. So important. Any other questions, guys? I'm free for like another 5 minutes, and then I have to get the baby and the grandbaby and the baby and the other baby. So I have to get that. Any other questions? Do anybody have any critical questions? I'll do a recap. Don't use trade lines that are not yours. Don't give out your social security number to anyone of the unknown. If people are coming to you saying, "Hey, you can come on my trade line and for an American Express and it's a big credit limit, but your score is compromised, it's going to harm you." You never want to go under no one else's account that you can't control their spending. That's why I teach people how to build their own trade lines. Credit Karma is accurate as far as a venture score. It's two type of scores. You have the actual FICO score 8, which is coming out with FICO score 9 and 10. But if you have the FICO app, it's already on there. Venture score. The reason the venture score is so different off of Credit Karma and other apps, because the payment history, credit utilization, credit age, overall credit, and mixed credit is higher in percentages. So when people see their Credit Karma score is a lot bigger than the actual Experian or vice versa, the percentages are different. So with FICO, it's 35 is payment history. On Advantage score, it's 41%. So there's the fluctuation. It varies. So, thank you. That's what I'm on here for, guys. This is free. This is stuff that you pay for on a consultation. So I come on here every night because my business is extremely blessed, and I'm very grateful for everybody that supported DALS Credit Solutions. I came a long way, and I'm beyond humbled that the feedback and the love I get from strangers, people that became friends, people that are in my circle, my marketing team, just everybody. And I love coming on here. Sometimes I get nervous, but I love coming on here giving y'all knowledge, because at the end of the day, they didn't teach us this. I didn't appreciate credit till I was in my 40s. I started at a 454. So I'm very honored and humbled that I can help people build every day. So I know what it is to have compromised credit score. I know what it is to be rejected. I know what it is. So that's why I try to just give and give back, because if you're not giving back to the people that help you, or you're not giving back to the people that want you to do more, or better yourselves or better them, it's very painful. So painful to watch. So I'm very strict, very strict when it comes to credit, and I have a big passion on helping people restore their credit, because we suffer long enough, people. We don't need to suffer no more, and the government's not going to give us this information. They teach us to go to work for 40 hours and make $17-18 an hour and work a bunch of overtime, and our credit still looks like shit. But at the end of the day, when you know and be knowledgeable of credit, you become a threat to society. You become a threat because you can come and go as you please. You become a threat when you can go out here and purchase and do whatever you want. You become a threat. They look at us as a threat now, but just imagine if you was knowledgeable of finances, knowledgeable of your credit, knowledgeable of, what it is to, when you go to a car lot and people paying, 18%, but it's people like myself and others can teach you how to pay your car off in 2.5 years instead of 5 and 6 and 7 years. And guess what? The banks don't owe no money. They don't like people like us. So that's why I get on here and I educate and I ask questions. And I tell people, hey, ask as many questions you want, because everybody can't afford credit restoration. It's already a tainted industry and everybody's not trustworthy. So they either gonna, use you or not see the best. And it's another group that I'm a part of called Black Girls Got Good Credit Too. It's one of the most powerful credit groups on Facebook. I've never seen nothing like it. I'm very knowledgeable, and I've never seen, so I've experienced so much from realtors, people that are humble, people that are hungry, that want to build their credit. And Jasmine Patton is the founder of Black Girls Got Good Credit Too. And I'm telling you, I thank her daily for even allowing me to be a part of the group. So, it's so serious that I get on here and I tell people, because you can't just make it and don't give back. You're not blessed. I believe in sowing into my business, not selling it. You sell your business, you ain't gonna do nothing but make $1. But if you sow into it, you make history. You make people proud. You make people want to do more. And that's what I'm about. I want y'all to do more out here, because guess what? Again, I started at a 454. I know what it is. It took me 3 years to get where I'm at to this day. And it was hard. But, once you make it, and it's a blessing. I'm gonna go back. My phone number is 717-379-2504. That's my business number, 790-2445. Due to the pandemic and the text can't come in, I can't get the rewiring. So that number is going to be down hopefully until maybe the middle of May. So, the 717-379-2504 is my contact information. My name is Lynette. Does my services send out the disputes on your client's behalf? Can closed student loans be removed? It depends on, my lettering is case by case. I don't have standard letters. Anybody that knows me will tell you, I can't just give you a letter that I've sent something off, because everybody's credit profile is different. I don't believe in pulling one letter from one area and then try to send it off. I don't even dispute that way. And Jasmine Patton is on the live, and she'll tell you I'm totally different. I dispute case by case. That's why my consultations are extremely important. I get to know what happened, not judging you on what happened, getting to know what happened. Because at the end of the day, I can't say if you had a hardship with your credit card payments, we can do forgiveness letters, but it's based on what happened to you. A standard letter is not going to get that removed. You know, standard letters are for people that are not knowledgeable of credit. Standard means you're going to go for the basics. If you want critical and real results, you go by case. All my letters are directed from my clients. When we do credit together. It's not I do everything and you do nothing. No. You created this debt. You're going to learn how to not get back in this debt. And we're going to know if you had some type of hardship. What consists of the hardship? Do you have documentation to prove the hardship? Nobody should ever tell you they can get rid of credit card debt off of your credit report, clearly when you made purchases with it. That's ludicrous. No one can tell you that they can get an eviction off of your credit knowing you live there. There's reasons and there's laws that are broken. If that situation occur, I'm not one to tell you, oh, I can get all this off your debt. No, if you have situations or life happens, we get it off together. You know, disputing is not just letter formatting. Disputing is actually making calls with the client on the phone and speaking to the creditors. Disputing is when you know a client needs to get reestablished with their credit worthiness with a company that they messed up on so they can build their credit. Disputing is just not letter formatting. It's more to it. That's why my clients they're heavily involved when it comes to credit restoration with me. I don't do all the work. This is a 50-50. You know, I get you restored, I rebuild you. We rebuild each other. We grow, we learn, we educate. We have budgets. We have all this stuff in play. So it's just not, oh, I'm going to write a letter and get this removed. If I get everything removed off your credit, what did I teach you? What, to do it again? No. But if I teach you how to rebuild your credit, teach you how to save, teach you how to understand money, teach you how to, build your confidence so you won't go back to that compromised state. That's what credit's about. Not putting a Band-Aid on a wound when you fucked up. Excuse my French, but I hate to see people out here saying you can remove everything, and you can't. Some things can be removed. A lot of things can be removed according to the law. If you're dealing with people that use software and it gets it revisits your credit report, that's why. Credit is knowledge-based, not internet-based. You have to learn people and understand. The banks have a job. If they want to tarnish your credit because you were not able to make payments, you had to do diligence as a consumer to say, hey, what did I do to stop this? If the creditor broke the law, then that's how we play. We get the items removed, get you restored, and we rebuild. That's what we do. Let me see. All my girls on here. Hi, babe. I also have a mentoring program that I'm very proud of. And one of my mentees, she's on here, and I'm very impressed on how she's building to, have her own company. When you do credit restoration, you have to know the laws. If you don't know the laws, you're not doing credit. Wait a minute, baby. Get him some juice or get him some water, milk, Sanaya. You need to know the laws. You need to understand a credit report. You need to understand what could you do to build. You need to understand all those components, because if you don't, you're not doing credit restoration. You're doing more harm than good. And you can't be like that. People are coming to you already weakened. Why weaken them more? People are already coming to you afraid because there's so much going on out here. Why do more harm than good? When you get things wiped off your credit and get trade lines added that you're unfamiliar with, you're getting your hands smacked. When you know things that happened to you and you messed up, sometimes you need your ass whipped. I know I needed my ass whipped because I got my ass whipped when I was rebuilding my credit. It was horrible. It was one of the worst things I've ever been through. I was just like, Jesus, you can't even get a glass of water with bad credit, literally, So you have to understand it's educating, empowering, and rebuilding. If you're not doing that, you're not doing well for yourself. You're hurting yourself. So the quick fix, a girl, Joy Smith, she's a drop shipper on Facebook. She said credit repair is not a microwavable thing, and it was one of the most powerful things I heard. It's not a microwave. It's a oven bacon, long oven, Thanksgiving times 10 bacon process. So You guys, if you have any questions, concerns about your credit, I have like 3 more minutes. I even said I had 5 earlier, but I'll do 3 to 5 more minutes. Far as answering questions, again, my name is Lynette, DALS Credit Solutions. Oh, thank you, Candace. My Cash App is $LS and my birthday, 11/14. It's so important. You don't do this. You can't even get a used sandwich with bad credit. You ain't never lied. I never forget, guys. When I felt my credit was decent, I went in Macy's. Macy's is like one of the easiest credit cards to get. I went in Macy's and I got declined. I said, why the hell did I get declined from Macy's? And I was like, lady said, you wasn't approved. I was like, why not? Mind you, I've been through some things in life, but I thought I had fairly decent credit. Wasn't approved for a Macy's card. So 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I looked at my credit score and I was like, what? I was blown away. I was like, a 454, jeez, Christmas. That's horrible. No wonder I can't get nothing. And then I said, you know what? When you have bad credit, you spend about $5,000 to $6,000, $7,000 a year more. When you get in a car or purchasing a car, your APR is 21%. When you get these high credit card, payments in the beginning while building, it makes you appreciate not to go back to that. Because guess what? When you build your credit, you like those 26 to transition to those 0%. If I can purchase something, and give myself 2 years to pay it back at 0% interest, that's good eating right there. So, you learn to restore, rebuild, empower, and educate yourself. And like I do others when I restore their credit. I don't do the 30, 60, 90-day rule because that's false. I would never tell nobody I have you cleaned up in 90 days. Don't come to my company, go somewhere else because I can't do it for you. So I'm wondering if I should settle a collection debt or just pay it off. Always, always, always ask for a pay to delete. And before you send a payment, make sure you get that delete letter. Or you make sure they send you a letter or an email regarding that conversation. Because if you do not, you paying off a collection will do absolutely nothing for your credit. Nothing. And I mean nothing. If they're willing to take it off, make sure when you call, you get the person you've spoken with, get the person, the time, the department, and if you ask them about, the debt, and they say they don't know about your credit reporting, speak to a supervisor, get their name as well. If they can't give you a solid answer, don't pay the debt, dispute the debt. Because if you continue, and I'm willing to pay off the debt, I'm willing to pay off the debt. Don't compromise my credit. I know I had a fault. Life happened. I want to pay this off. A lot of collection agencies, they make millions and millions and millions of dollars, tarnishing our credit. So over 80% of Americans with errors on their report. And, again, I started at a 454. So I know, I had many errors. And it was a lot of debt that I owed. The way I got my debt off was from the law. Not nothing else, That was the way I did it because, when people have repos, co-signers, all that stuff, is so many laws associated with it. And if you don't know the laws when it comes to it or don't know how to read your credit reports, you will have errors on your report. Anybody that's averaging 4, 5, and 6s, 9 out of 10, they have a lot of errors on that report. The 0% interest is a beautiful thing. You learn how to move your money around. You're a dangerous person. When you learn how money works for you and you don't work for money, you're a dangerous person. I'm not rich, so please believe it. My God, I'm about as broke as they can. I know that's right. You gotta tell them Nana's not rich. But at the end of the day, when you learn how to move money and you learn how to invest and take a liability and turn it into an asset, you talking their language. So I'm telling you, learn about your credit. Learn about your credit. I'm telling you. Oh, God bless you.
Where's that?
So it was, thank you. It been sold twice. it was 4,000, and then will only take 3,000 to settle. So let me tell you about the word settle. Settle, and I'm gonna go after this because I'm gonna really have to get my kids. Settle. The word settle less than on your credit report is suicide. You never want those statements on your credit. Never ever say settle. What you can do is dispute that. Don't settle no debt on your credit report. You satisfy it. So if a credit card or whatever it is, if it's not in collections, not your case, baby, but if it's not in collections, never settle. Settle on a debt is credit suicide. No oxygen to the brain. It's harmful. When you satisfy a debt, you admit you messed up, and you're going to take the person out for dinner. I messed up. I pay you now, you're going to pay me later. Always satisfy a debt. Never settle a debt. If the collection agency is telling you they only going to take 3,000, you need to find out who the original creditor was. And if you know, you need to try to get that debt back into the hands of the creditor so it can be removed off your report from the collection agency, and then you satisfy the debt with the creditor. Do not pay a collection debt off on your credit. It does nothing to your credit. It won't increase it. It won't balance it. It won't do nothing. It still looks as if it's a bad debt that you know was yours and you pay for it. You don't increase the score. You don't do nothing. So what can I do about my car loan? My interest is 19%, and I'm stuck with a high car note, and I have a difficulty on refinancing. Okay, so you will have to, so if your car note, so you said it's 19%. If you have a 19% car note, and I'm going to throw a number out there. If your car note is $385, $400, or even more, okay, you need to buckle down and look at your numbers and see how can you pay this card off in 2.5 years. A lot of card notes today have 72 months, 70 months, 60 months. Learn to pay it off. You're going to have to bite the bullet, and you're going to have to be disciplined. Because when you're at a 19%, the goal is to pay double so you can get to maybe a 1 or 2%. Never pay off a car loan with that high of an interest. If you trade it in, they're going to give the balance to the new loan. Even though the APR might be smaller or in decrease, but that balance is increased, and you're going to look like you're upside down. So when you have cars and you have compromised credit scores, double up on your payments. Reduce the amount of time that you have to pay the loan. So when you finance the loan, mathematics is implied. It's called principal times rate times time. It's very important that you understand the principal of the car, the rate of the amount of time you're going to have, the rate of it, the amount, and the time you're going to have it. So the goal is, if you have something set for 60 months and you have a $400 car payment, the rate of it is the amount of months they say you want to, you have it. Well, the rate is what the APR that's set, So if you have a $400 car note, bite the bullet and pay 8 and some change a month. Because if you do the math, you take the amount that's owed on the loan, add the additional amount that you can afford to pay every 2 weeks, and make it solid for consistent until this car is paid off, right? You cut down the principal. Once you eliminate the principal, you eliminate the debt. Because everybody knows when you first paying off a car, the first 2.5, 3 years go to the lender. They get their money off the top. So just in case you're at risk of repoing, they going to get paid first. So you double your payments. And then when you send the payment off, make sure you apply this to the principal. The rule is for the bank not to make money, even though you have bad credit. Because everybody had bad credit at some point in time in their life. I don't know who didn't. And if you didn't, God bless you. But I know a lot of people, I did, including myself, we had bad credit for a very long time. Double your payments. I'm telling you, you can cut 7 years into 2.5 real fast. You bite that bullet. You got income taxes, stimulus checks, whatever else, the IRS. If you got unemployment, that extra $600 a week, if you affected by COVID, take that money and put it on your debt. There's no reason you should be wanting to play around with an extra $600. Live as if the $600 don't even exist. If you need to save the $600 $600 a week to your bank accounts, do that. But if you got a card note at 19%, and you can apply that $600 towards the principal until you're exhausted of your unemployment, do it. Because guess what? If you can, because guess what? You're going to cut some years off real fast, and the banks won't make money. So put as much on the car as much as you're paying. If your car note's $400, try to put $400 on it every 2 weeks on top of the $400. I know that's a big stretch, but this is how you pay up your car off sooner than later. Set realistic goals for yourself. Not what I'm saying. Look at your finances. Set realistic goals. But if you want to pay your car off early, pay it off early. Double your payments every 2 weeks. Cuts the principal down.
Leo, stop.
Any other questions? Okay, but she got one more. Will the collection agency send back to the original creditor if you ask if you want to pay off the debt? Absolutely not. It's going to be a fight because the collection agency bought the debt. The collection agency job is to make money off of the debt they bought from the creditor. So you will have to dispute it. And there's ways you dispute it and not with the credit bureaus. You might have to involve like federal agencies and things like that. It depends on the type of debt it is, what type of debt, who's the actual creditor, the time you got it, all these factors come into place when it comes to disputing. So it depends on where you got the debt from, where the original debt came from. So if it's like a credit card, you're going to have to dispute it with the Federal Reserves. If it's an eviction, you're going to have to look at the laws from your state. You're going to have to look at so many ways of where the credit was established and what is it. So if you want to put down what is it, I can tell you which way to go while I'm on, so you can get this, because at the end of the day, if a collection agency don't want to bring it back, take it back to the creditor, you're the one losing. Don't pay the collection agency off. You will do more harm than good. So if it's a credit card debt, you go through the Federal Reserves. So I want somebody to type this in so people can have it. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is one, capital one. You definitely going to have to go through the Federal Reserves. Federal Reserves. Dispute through the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It's one of the most powerful sites to dispute on. Not Equifax, not TransUnion, and not Credit Karma, and not, no, don't do that. Credit card debt must go to the Federal Reserves. The Federal Reserves regulate credit card companies. You want to hit them at the jugular. If you're going to go through the credit bureaus, that's like going through Barack Obama's secretary. Why go through Barack Obama's secretary and you got the President Barack Obama's number? Hit the Federal Reserves. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is one of the most powerful tools for disputing. You can dispute everything on there. It's the federal government working for you. If they cannot solve your dispute, they tell you which agency that can. You file the complaint with the company, with the Federal Reserves. Do not dispute credit card debt through the credit bureaus. They use a system, they send an email. It comes back verified, you wasted certified letters, time, and you're going to lose your patience. Go through the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and dispute. Read over the site. It's not complicated. If you don't deal with credit repair, it can be a little bit uneasy, but it's definitely self-explanatory. It's one of the most powerful tools to disputing. You can dispute anything on there. Also, join a group called Black Girls Got Good Credit Too. Ask these questions. They will get answered. The group have over 6,500 women in there. And some men that have questions answered. Very resourceful group. Go through the Federal Reserves and dispute your credit card debt. If you had hardship and you called them and they wouldn't comply, attach all this information. The more you attach, the more evidence you have, the faster you can get this debt off of your credit report. You can get it back to the hands of Credit One. Guess what? You can settle with me, not settle, satisfy the debt with them, get back reestablished, start to rebuild your credit. Because again, you need credit to build your credit profile. Doesn't matter if I did small payments on the collection. No, yes. If they're not going to remove it off of your debt, do not pay it off. Don't even touch it. It's not going to do nothing for you. It really isn't. You're going to have to dispute it. Capital One is definitely federal. It's Federal Reserves. Excuse me. The only way you're going to get Capital One's attention is through Federal Reserves. If you go through the credit bureaus, they're gonna laugh at it, send it back verified, and you're gonna get a letter in the mail. You gotta hit them at the jugular. Credit cards are through Federal Reserves. Jasmine, if you're still on, type on the Federal Reserves website. It's a little complicated, guys, but go through the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, state your case, attach your evidence, and let the feds work for you. This is a very powerful disputing tool. Very powerful. You can create an account, you get your results, you dispute. If you have something more in detail, you might need some assistance. So you have to understand, if they're not willing, Miss Armstrong, to take the debt off of your credit, get it in writing. Don't make no payments until you get it in writing. If they do not pay the debt. I don't care if it's old, because it's going to look like a bad debt that has a zero balance. That's all it's going to look. And it's going to look like, it's not going to look good as far as calculations, the FICO. You're not going to raise any points. You're not going to lose any points. You're not going to get any points. So the goal is to get it back in the hands of Credit One, so you can get what you need. Thank you. Jasmine put the Federal Reserves on there. You got to fight credit cards with the big boys. You're not going to fight credit cards with the credit bureaus. It's definitely a big boy job. So the Federal Reserve is another tool. Federal Reserves. You got to do Federal Reserves. They regulate all credit card companies. You have the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Federal Trade Commission. You have Federal Reserves. You have, when you have settlement issues, or you have, evictions that are bought homes and you were, feel as though you were targeted because you were black. They have the Fair Housing Authority. They have Housing Urban Development. All these federal sites dispute on your behalf. When you put those, get Ada, Sanaya. Sorry, baby. When you have issues, the law, these companies regulate the law on your behalf. You fight fire with fire. They want to destroy your credit. You fight fire, and a lot of times they're wrong. You get people foreclosures that come to me. I get them removed because the way they display them and how things are handled. That's why it's so important to know that credit is not something that you can dispute on Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Some things, some people can do it. They get lucky. Hey, God bless them. I was not one of the ones. I had to learn the laws, read the laws, and I had to get my items off according to the law. I couldn't do it no other way because that's how bad my credit was. Yeah, I mean, it happens. I didn't know it either, Miss Ellen. I'm telling you, I didn't know. I didn't know nothing about, credit cards, debt. You can fight with the Federal Reserves. I learned this as I grew in my company. And I've got credit card debt off for many people, federal credit unions. You go through the National Federal Credit Union Association. You can get any type of debt off permanently doing it the legal way. You do it the fast way, it's going to come back. You're going to look awful. You can also go under, it's a file tab once you join the group, Black Girls Got Good Credit Too, and you can see different sites. Make yourself familiar during this pandemic. If you're going to come out with something, if this pandemic lasts to the end of the year, come out with a better damn credit score. You know, especially if they're giving out $600 a week for COVID, for unemployment, people that are receiving unemployment, pay off some debt. Don't play with the money. Pay off some debt. Or if you can save it, save the money. You know, make yourself familiar with these federal sites. Make yourself familiar with these things. It's so important. If you got credit union debt, if you have credit card debt, if you have things, if you co-sign for a repossession, co-sign for a car that got repossession, there's laws for co-signers. Like, it's so much out here, and this is how I'm successful. I'm successful as far as getting items off of people's credit. It's called the Equal Opportunity. It's called the Equal Opportunity Credit Reporting Act. It's a list. It's a list. I'm trying to get my computer on so I can get the actual site up for y'all. Jasmine, if you put the Equal Opportunity Credit Reporting Act, the site on, it gives you every federal agency that I'm mentioning to dispute on your behalf. And one thing about disputing with the feds, guess what? Sanaya, grab Ada. Somebody has to come back with a response. Somebody from the company must respond. And it's normally not the supervisors. It's normally not the, the line workers. It's normally from the CEO office. That's where it normally comes from. You know, it comes from the big dogs, because the big dogs had to ask the question, so the big dog's going to have to respond. So guess what? That's the beauty about fighting the feds with the feds, because it's so important. But Jasmine, go if Jasmine's still on here, type in the Equal Opportunity Credit Reporting Act. I'm trying to get it up. Thank you. Jasmine just put it up. It is one of the most powerful sites that you can go on. Thank you, love. That you can go on to learn about your credit report, learn about, far as, learning how to dispute, learning what your rights are as a consumer, and how if someone is, purposely tarnishing your credit. These are some of the sites that you use to rebuild, restore, and educate yourself on credit. It's so, so important. Guys, it's 9:25. You guys got me a lot longer. I'm blessed that I was able to sit on here and talk to you guys. Much love from the bottom of my heart. I want to see all of y'all win. I want to see all of us win, because at the end of the day, if y'all losing, so am I. So am I, because, at the end of the day, again, you should want to sow into your business, not sell it. Sowing into your business is more, gives more gratitude, and it makes you more humble. But when you sell your business, you ain't doing nothing but making $1. You ain't doing shit for nobody. God forgive me for cussing. It just touches my heart, because, you gotta want more. You gotta want more for the people. You gotta want more for your people. You gotta want more, even if they don't wanna come along. But at least do your part and give the information. You can't take everybody with you, but at least give them the knowledge that maybe one day they might go back and look at this live. They might want to go back and want to improve their lives. They might want to learn how to, save money. It's so much people can learn from building your credit and doing more in this life. So it's been a pleasure. I thank you. I love y'all. God bless y'all. It's your girl, DALS Credit Solutions, locally owned and operated. Make sure you share, like, tag someone, be a difference. Don't hold this knowledge to yourself. You're going through a fight. That's right. You get ready to buy your house, baby, because I've made 3 homeowners, and I'm very grateful. It brought tears to my eyes that I made a difference in somebody's life. I made 3 homeowners starting this business, and I'm humble. I don't want to cry on live because I don't want to be a wuss, but it feels good to knowing you improving somebody's life. It feels good to know that you're doing better by somebody. And it feels good to knowing somebody else appreciates your craft. God bless y'all. Good night. Have a wonderful day. I said wonderful day. It's 9:30 at night. God bless y'all. I'm getting emotional. Much love. Love y'all. Take care. See y'all soon.